Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. So in today's video we're going to learn how to make this asymmetrical top. If that sounds like something you're interested in learning, keep on watching and let us get right into it. So guys, to start off, I have my pattern paper on fold because we want to go ahead to cut this in full to further draft the asymmetrical top. So I'm going to start off by marking out the length I want this top to be, and I'm working with 18 inches. You can do less or more depending on the size of the person you're working on. So the person I'm working on is a bit petite, so that is why I'm working with 18 inches. So you want to go ahead to mark the bust point line, the under bust and the waistline. That 18 inches is going to serve as our waistline. I'm just going to mark this all the way forward and then rule a straight line across all the lines I just marked out. So now on the shoulder line, we're going to mark our shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'm marking that out, but I later went ahead to readjust that. So after marking out your shoulder measurement, you want to come down by 1 inch, and then we're just going to create our armhole depth. And I'm going to rule this out now to create the armhole depth. Now I'm going to mark my bust measurement divided by 4, and that is 8¼ but you want to take out 1 inch because the fabric we're working with is very stretchy and you want this to be fitted on the body. So I took out 1 inch and that gave me 7¼ and that was where it was placed, and that is why I had to readjust my my armhole. So I went ahead to make my shoulder measurement divided by 2 6 instead of 7, the 7 we had earlier. So I'm readjusting the shoulder area, and then we're just going to continue marking out our body measurements. Now after creating a new armhole, you can see that it's now sitting at the right part where our measurement is supposed to be, and that is it. Now I'm going to create the neckline. I'm coming out here by 3.5 inches and I'm going to slant it all the way like this. Next we want to mark our waist measurement divided by 4 minus 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead now to mark that out at that point there, and then we're going to rule this from the bust point area down to the waistline area. So this is what the pattern is looking like so far. We're not going to cut out our neckline just yet because this is an asymmetrical neckline and we want to go ahead to cut this out before working on that. So I'm just cutting this out now. After cutting this out, this is what we have. Now I'm going to close this up and just make a notch at that shoulder area so I know where the start of our shoulder is, and I'm going to open this up so we can cut out the neckline. Now I'm going to place my tape at the side of the shoulder and I'm going to mark 4 inches. That's how low I want mine to be. You can do 3 inches depending on what you're trying to achieve. And then I'm going to curve this all the way down to that 4 inches mark we created. Next, I'm going to bring in an extra pattern paper to extend that curved part. So there's going to be sort of like a rope at the side where we're going to tie to create the sleeve, and that's what we're going to create here. I'm just going to mark 1.5 inches at this point. You can do yours wider depending on what you want. Like I said, the person I'm working on is a very small person. Now I'm going to come in by 10.5 inches, and you can also make this longer as well, and then rule a straight line. Now I'm going to cut this out and then reattach it to our main pattern. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead to create a slash and spread at the shoulder area as well as the side. This is totally optional. If you do not want to do this, you can skip this step and just start cutting this on your fabric. So in no particular order, I'm just going to mark this out and then create a straight line at that point so we can just cut it out. So I went ahead to add a plain piece of pattern paper underneath the slashed area, and this is what we have. You just want to tape it down so it's going to be in place. So you can see I just added a little allowance there so we can just create pleats at the shoulder area like this. So yeah, I just decided to close this place back up so we can cut out the back piece first before we go ahead to continue slashing to cut out the front piece, because the slashed area is going to be at the front. So this is the fabric we're going to work with for this tutorial. This is lycra fabric, and this has stretch on both sides, as you can see. So that was why we had to take out 1 inch while drafting. So this is the fabric we're working with, and now we're just going to start cutting this out. And I'm working with about 1 yard, but we're not going to use all of it because it's a very small top. So let's get right into the cutting. So you can see that on this part here, I close it up so we can cut out the back first. So you just want to tape this, pin this down to your fabric, and then just start cutting this out. So now after cutting out the back piece, we want to go ahead to slash this. Like I said, in no particular order, you can slash this a bit more or a bit less depending on what you want. I'm just going to do this just a little at the side, just to create gathers at that side. So I'm going to slash this open, and we're going to add in our plain what's it called, our plain pattern paper beneath it, and then just tape it down. So now I have my front pattern paper placed down and I'm just going to cut it out. So you're not adding any extra allowance, you're just going to cut it out because this fabric stretches a lot. Depending on how stretchy it is, you might want to add half an inch if it's not as stretchy, but mine is really stretchy, so we're just going to cut it out like that. So this is what it's looking like so far. Now we're going to go ahead to cut out lining pieces for all the fabric piece we've gone ahead to cut out. So I had to put this fabric on the floor to cut this out because the fabric was moving a lot. So I just basically placed this on a fabric piece to cut out the lining piece. So you just want to watch closely at how I do this. So this is what we have, and you want to go ahead to cut the same thing for the back piece as well. Now we're going to go ahead to sew this from this part here all the way. We're going to take it straight down and then take it all the way from this part all the way like this. So I'm going to go ahead to sew for the front as well as the back. After sewing, this is what we have. So I'm just going to take out the pins so we can notch this very well, trim out any excesses we might have, and then just flip it over to the right side. So guys, this is what we have after we're done. I went ahead to give it a good press so everything lays down very well. And on this side, we just went ahead to run loose stitch there and gather it back to our original measurements. So you can do the gathers method or you can go ahead to pleat this. So I'm just placing my tape to make sure what I have there is what I need, and if it's not, I'm just going to gather it till I get what I need. So this is what we are looking like. Now on the shoulder area, the simple thing you just want to do is we just want to take our measurements and place it at the back. We have about 2 inches at the back, so we want to go ahead to gather this to get the same 2 inches at the front. So I'm going to pleat this and then pin it down in place and then pleat it again. So now once we have that 2 inches, we just want to go ahead to stitch our pleats down. So I'm going to take this to the machine and then just stitch it down like this. After stitching this down, this is what we have. I'm going to bring in the back piece now, and we're going to place them right sides facing each other, and we want to go ahead to sew. So I'm just pinning this in place so that everything stays in place for us to sew. I'm also pinning down the sides as well. So now after pinning this down, all we want to do is stitch this at the top here, and then at the side we're just going to stitch it down on both sides by half of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead to do that now. So guys, we've gone ahead to stitch the top as well as the sides down. Now all we have to do is finish up the armhole area here as well as the bottom part here. So what we want to do for the bottom part is we want to fold this in. If you have your overlocking machine, you can overlock this and then just top stitch on it. But because we do not have that, we're going to fold this in twice and then just stitch it down all around. So to finish up the armhole area, I'm going to take my tape and just place it down like this to measure what we have there. And what we have is about 8 inches, which is 16 inches in total. So we're going to use that to cut out a band to pipe the armhole area. So this is what we have. I went ahead to cut this out, and this is about 15 inches long and then 2 inches wide. We took out 3 inches from our initial 18 inches because this fabric tends to stretch a lot. Now we're going to stitch that part close. So because I don't want the video to be too long, I already attached the band along the armhole area by half of an inch like this, as you can see. Now what we want to do is we just want to trim out the excesses we have here, and then the remaining half an inch allowance we have at this other side, you see that we ironed out, we're going to use it to place on this part we're cutting out. So just watch closely and you understand. So we've gone ahead to trim that out. Now we want to take this half an inch we have here and just fold it in like this, and then fold it again, as you can see. Now we're going to pin that in place so that we can top stitch on it. I'm just going to do the same thing, folding this in all the way to the opposite side so that everything is in place for us to sew. Now after pinning this all around, we want to go ahead to top stitch on this part all the way around, making sure that you are going to top stitch on it nicely and neatly. So I'm doing that now, and after doing so, this is what we have. This is what the edge is looking like. So with that, we've come to the end of the tutorial. I'm going to show you the final results now. So guys, this is the final result of the top. If you enjoyed watching this video and you found it helpful in any way, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed already to be a part of our YouTube community. And if you enjoy watching videos like this, you're also going to enjoy watching this one up here. So you want to go and check that out after this one, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.